Hello, it's Simon Zutshi here, and in this property education video, I'm going to share with you how you can make the most out of online virtual training events. Now that's really important because since COVID, so many events are now online, and it's a great way for you to access really good information without having to travel, etc. But you know what? I think a lot of people are not making the most of these events for various reasons. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video, and I'm going to share with you the 7 steps to make the most out of virtual training. So my name is Simon Zutshi. I'm the author of Property Magic, the Amazon #1 property bestseller. I'm the founder of the Property Investors Network, and I've been teaching people like you since 2003 how to be successful property investors. And obviously we run a lot of live physical events, and I love live events because you get in the room, you get to connect, and it's not just the knowledge you get, it's the connections you make with those people who might well be people who can help you on your property journey. Now, to a certain extent, you can get those connections at a virtual event, and part of this video is to train you and teach you how you can make the most out of every virtual event you attend. Whether it's a virtual networking event or a virtual 3-day event, I'm going to show you exactly how you can do that. Now, first of all, obviously when COVID came and we couldn't do any physical events, we very quickly turned to online events using Zoom and GoToWebinar. They were incredibly popular. Everyone was stuck inside. They wanted something to do. They were keen to learn. They realized how dangerous it was to have just one stream of income, particularly those people who were put onto furlough, and people were hungry to learn more about extra wealth creation. And as we know, property investing is one of the best ways to build your long-term wealth, not only to gain short-term cash flow, but also to create long-term generational wealth. And they were great for a while. And then we went back to physical events, and we actually started doing hybrid events. That's where we have some people live in the room for people who want to physically travel and come and connect with people in the room. And also everyone at home gets to watch and participate. And we have breakout rooms to make sure they also benefit from the networking as well as the incredible training they're getting at our events. So we like to do hybrid events. We have 2 big hybrid events we do every year. We have Strategy Implementation Live, which is normally in March. That's a 3-day event all about how to really get going and how to take lots of action. And people generally move forward more in 3 days on that event than they do in 3 months on their own. And we also have Property Magic Live, which is obviously based on the learnings from Property Magic. That's more of an inspirational, building your belief, giving you the confidence to move forward and sharing what are the next strategies, well, the best strategies for the next 12 months. And that's an event we normally do in September. So these are big hybrid events, some people in the room, all of our top students, our masterminders, and some of our masterminders also online. So what I want to do is I really want to share with you the steps you can get to make the most out of events like that, because the thought of spending 3 days on a virtual event might be quite daunting. Now, we try and make them as engaging as possible. We have some great content we share. We make them very interactive. And one of the tips I'd give you, the first tip really is, if you're going to do a virtual event, you need to really commit to doing that virtual event. It's very easy to be doing other things, to be, at home working with a virtual event in the background, or doing the house cleaning or cooking, or even in your car driving around. And yes, the amazing thing about virtual events, you can do that if you want, but you're not really going to get the value. If you're doing something else, you're not going to have the focus and attention that you would have if you were physically sitting in a room participating in that training. So the very first step really is to commit to your success and decide, yes, I'm going to do this event or not. In the same way that if you were physically went to an event, you'd obviously be there, you'd be in the room, you'd be present as well. The next tip I'd want to give you, and this will help you commit to that event, is I want you to imagine next time you're doing a virtual event, to take it seriously and to get the most out of it, imagine you've spent £10,000 to do that training. Now you might think, oh, I'd never do that. That doesn't matter. But imagine you spent £10,000 to be participating in that training. Why? Well, guess what? If you'd have spent £10,000, I pretty much guarantee you'll be listening there, listening very carefully, taking lots of notes, wanting to get the most out of that training. Whereas if you've not paid very much, a couple of £100, or maybe it's even a free event, the problem is people don't value what they've not paid for. Let me say that again. People don't value what they've not paid for, and they do value what they've paid for. So if you imagine that you've paid £10,000, I promise you, you will get far more value out of that event, even if you've only spent a couple of £100 doing it, okay? The benefit of virtual events, obviously, is because it's virtual, the organizer doesn't have the cost of putting on hotels and feeding people and having sound and audio people there. That's a lot of money, so you can benefit from the training at a much reduced price. Another benefit of doing virtual, and obviously you don't have to travel. However, tip number 3 is, if you are doing a virtual event, if you travel to that event, you'll be blocking out time, you'll be there, you'll be focused. When you're at home, it's very easy for distractions to get in the way, you know, whether it's family, friends, work, etc. So even if you're doing a virtual event, my tip number 3 is block out the time as if you're physically going to an event. Look, let your family and friends know, and people like you're not to be disturbed during that time. Our events, we have regular comfort breaks and lunch breaks. If you need to be around spending time with family, you can obviously do that in the breaks if you want to. But just imagine during the actual sessions, which are normally about an hour and a half long, we have 4 sessions a day, so you've got 6 hours of content each day. During those 6 hours, again, you're really focused, you're committed, and you're there 100%. I suggest that you know, if you've got a camera, make sure you've got a camera on your phone, or even better, rather than listening in on a phone, want to get a laptop and watch on a laptop. For the simple reason, you'll be sat down at a desk, you can take lots of notes, and really focus on that event. And I would also suggest that sometimes if you've really got a noisy, disturbing environment around you and constant distractions, what I sometimes do is I will actually go to my office, which is just down the road, but I physically come out of my house, I'm in my office, I don't have all the other distractions around me that I might have at home with my wife and my dogs, etc. So I can really focus on that training. The next thing is, I recommend most courses will give you a workbook or maybe a copy of the slides. If you can get those in advance, you might want to download those and print those. Personally, I like to write things in. What we do at our events, we give the ability to print them out, but also we often have a PDF document which you can fill in on your computer, and there are some blanks you can fill in. Now, the reason we don't give you a complete workbook is we want you to think about what you're doing. We want to really listen carefully, and if you're reading the slides and filling in the blanks, you're paying a lot more attention, you're going to learn a lot more, and you're going to be more successful. My recommendation though is, if you're doing an online PDF, please make sure you save it every so often, because if you don't save it and you close your window, you might lose all the notes you've taken. So I would recommend, by all means, fill in the PDF version if you want. But I always like to have a workbook that I take notes from my various courses and trainings on, and I have that, and I take lots of detailed notes. And also I have an action list. When you do any training, it's great to build your knowledge and build your confidence, but ultimately it's all down to you taking action. And our event, Strategy Implementation Live, for particular, it's all about doing it. Actually, in the event, we get you to do things like call the agent, find some great properties, and start moving forward. Otherwise, it's far too easy for us to put it off and say we're going to do it one day. So we get you to take action at that particular event, but I'd encourage you to have an action list, because you're not going to do everything during the event. You might have a great idea, think, oh, I need to do that. Write it down, capture it on the action list so you can go back to it, and then after the event, you prioritize your action list and work on the most important things first. It's all too easy to tick off the easy things, but I suggest you focus on what's the most important thing that's going to help you move forward. The next thing is, on virtual events, there's a huge opportunity for you to network. It's not going to be quite the same as if you were live in a room with someone, but what we do, we use breakout rooms. We have a smaller group of people. We have exercises where you might be participating, going through an exercise with other people. You're going to get to know those people. So a couple of quick tips. First of all, when you're on Zoom, you need to make sure your name is displayed on the camera. So if you look at your screen, the top right hand corner, there are 3 little dots. Click on that, and down will come a menu where you can click on rename and put in whatever you want as your name. If you're coming in on a phone, for example, it might say Samsung Galaxy 29784. So you want to make sure you're putting your name on there, because when you're in the breakout rooms, you're going to be introducing yourself, but if people can't remember your name, hope they can see your name displayed. They can then go and look you up later on social media, and they can follow up with you. So when other people are talking, if you have a small group of people and people are introducing themselves, don't just be sitting there thinking, oh, what am I going to say? How am I going to introduce myself? use the opportunity to listen to what those other people are saying, because there might be someone in that group who you really want to connect with after the event or even during the event. So I would, as other people speaking, write down their name and just jot down a few notes about what they say and put a tick next to it as someone you definitely want to follow up with. And then most online training, they might have like a Facebook group you can connect to. I'd recommend you go and do that. And then in that Facebook group, you could do a search for the people you've actually met, connected with, and then you can go and follow up with them. Sometimes I see people, they just share their contact details in the chat group of the whole event. I don't think that's a very good thing to do. Most events won't allow you to promote yourself. That's a bit like going into a networking event and putting your business card on everyone's chair. You know, it doesn't look good. People are not going to pay attention to it. So really, you want to share your details with people whom you've had a connection with, who you've engaged with in those smaller breakout rooms. They're definitely people you want to reach out to. Now, of course, if you see other people and they're speaking on the Zoom, they're saying something, you can obviously send them a private message. And actually, I would encourage you to do keep an eye on the chat every so often, look through, just see if there are any private messages being sent to you, because obviously you might want to connect with those people. And then the final tip to get the most out of online virtual events is to follow up. People you connect with, people you get to meet in the breakout rooms, hopefully you've written down their names and some notes about them as I suggested. Make sure you go and look them up. And you want to do it within 24 hours of the event, because obviously people sometimes move on, they might forget who they've connected with, so you want to reach out to them, whether it's through their LinkedIn, their Facebook, Messenger, whatever it is, and say, hey Bob, remember it's Simon here, we met in the breakout room, you were talking about this, I'd love to connect. And what I recommend you do is maybe arrange a follow-up Zoom call with them, a 20-minute Zoom call at a time that suits you both. You can make sure you have a cup of tea each, you sit there having a cup of tea as if you're doing a face-to-face conversation, but it's just on Zoom. Limit it to 20 minutes because obviously you need to be precious of your time. If you don't get enough time, you want to have a further call, you can always book a further follow-up call with them as well. But by doing a Zoom coffee, as we call it, you could do one in the morning, one in the afternoon, because most people have a cup of tea at least a couple of times a day. So in fact, you could follow up with 2 people every day from the comfort of your own home, make it very achievable. That's 10 people a week. So if you're meeting a whole load of people online at an event, you can send them all the message, booking calls, and for the whole month, you can have maybe as many as 40 conversations, that's 2 a day, and connect with just a whole load of people who you want to keep in touch with. So make the most of online virtual events. It's not just the content, it's the people you meet. And if you get the opportunity to go to physical events, I'd recommend you do that. And sometimes I think people got a bit lazy because of Zoom. They think, oh, I don't want to travel all the way to wherever the event is. That's a couple of hour drive. I have to get a hotel. Look, I sometimes travel around the world to go to events. And yes, some of those events I could participate virtually, but you know what? I get on a plane, I pay like $10,000, $15,000 to go to an event. I've got the cost of the flights as well. But I do it because I personally love the connection in the room and meeting. But maybe you like that, maybe you prefer to do things behind camera at Zoom. But I would encourage you that if you want to be successful in property is a people business. So whether you're meeting people in person at events or whether you're meeting them on Zoom, don't be shy. Don't be the person who sits in the background and you have your camera off and you're never participating. You're really not making the most of the event. Yes, you're getting the great knowledge from the event, but you're really missing one of the big benefits, which is connecting with other people. I'm a great believer that your network is your net worth. The more people you know in your industry, the more successful you are going to be. And this is a great way to build your network. So I do hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please click like, come on, comment, maybe subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you're notified anytime we bring a new video out. I am actually going to be doing a very special offer for our next big hybrid online event. There's going to be a link in the chat box. Come and click on that and see how you can come and participate in that event. And we've got an amazing offer for you. So if you've not done one of our hybrid or online virtual events, I highly encourage you to click on the link, come and find out all about it. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised just how amazing this virtual event is going to be for you. And I hope you can take what I've taught you today and all the virtual events you're going on in the future and get so much more out of them. So as ever, I encourage you to invest with knowledge, invest with skill. Click on the link below. Hey, it's Simon here again. I do hope you enjoyed that last video. You know what, watching videos is a great way to build your knowledge. However, there's nothing like attending a live event because you get to connect with a whole load of other people. You get the very latest knowledge distilled into actionable steps for you, and you get to connect and interact with me. We have a big 3-day event coming up, and I'd love to tell you more about it. So if you click on the link below, you can find out about our next 3 big day event. I look forward to seeing you there. So click on the link below. In the meantime, I've lined up another video for you to watch as well.